The start to the season has been far from ideal for Manchester United. We can't really score goals and we are giving up big chances for the opposition. It is far from ideal. It's left us in this sort of limbo where we don't know what's going on with the manager, and there's a lot of discussions about how he can improve, different managers we could bring in, all of that. And one of the big talking points is around, could Manchester United make a shift to a back five, whether that be under Erik ten Hag or a different manager? Can United play in a back five? So that is the discussion today. Now, before we discuss whether United specifically fit the back five, we need to discuss the pros and cons of actually using the system. So we'll start off with the benefits. What are the benefits of playing in a back five formation? Well, the first one is pretty darn obvious. You literally get yourself an extra defender on the pitch. And this is going to help in a few ways. One of the ways that this will help is chances are you will increase your physicality. Centre-backs in particular naturally tend to be bigger, stronger, more physical players than your central midfielders. For example, at United, if you're taking Eriksen out of midfield in exchange for a centre-back like Harry Maguire, for example, that's a big increase in your physicality. So that is one immediate positive. Another positive is the fact that it gives you 5 players along the back line. Now, the reason this is a positive is because we know a lot of teams like to attack with a front 5. And when you play with a back 4 yourself, it can leave you overloaded and outnumbered on the last line. Whereas, by dropping that extra player in, it gives you the equal numbers in these areas and stops you from being overloaded. Now, it's important to make clear that the benefits of the back 5 don't just come from a defensive point of view, because not only can you prevent the overload on your own last line, you can actually create the overload on your attacking line, because these 2 wing-backs can quickly get forward, and once again, you have now naturally got a front 5, and if most opposition teams are defending with a back 4, you have the extra player. You also get the benefit in this shape of almost naturally and quite easily adjusting to the football meta. This shape of 3 along the back, 2 in midfield, and then almost sort of a box shape in the middle, but a front 5. This is the attacking meta in football. This is what a lot of teams are trying to do to control the ball. Naturally, when you play a sort of back 5 / a back 3, it allows you quite easily to get into these sorts of positions, and that's a real positive for what you can do. This can also be a good pressing formation as well. I think a lot of people associate the back 5 with passive, standoffish defending, but I don't see it in that way at all. For example, let's say the opposition are trying to build out from the back with a back 4 and a solo pivot in midfield. If you chuck your wing backs nice and high up the pitch, and you feel you can do this because you've got 3 centre backs at the back covering the space, your wingers can come inside and apply pressure, and you can quickly squeeze your team high up the pitch to try and press the opposition. It's almost a more natural, more comfortable way of going man to man, particularly if you just focus on the ball side. So if the ball is down this side of the pitch, the right wing back can be a little bit deeper. It gives you extra numbers at the back, but also allows you to get pressure on the ball. There are a lot of positives of the back 5. These are some of them. Now, as with every formation that I personally can think of, there are also negatives as well. And whilst the back 5 / 3 can be used to be aggressive and assertive out of possession, it can also quickly become quite passive if used in the wrong way. For example, if the opposition use really high and wide wingers, there is this temptation to keep your wing backs tucked to the back line. The problem is you now have 5 players really deep, at times only marking 3, maybe 4 players, and that means you are going to have a disadvantage elsewhere, and it can make it too easy for the opposition to take control of a match. Having more players than you in these areas of the pitch, it allows the opposition to take control. So that is certainly one negative, or potential negative, if you get the back 5 wrong. It can make you a little bit passive. Another negative of this shape, although again you see it in all formations, is you need quite specific roles. The job of playing wing back in this system is quite difficult. You need to be an athletic player, someone who can get up and down the pitch. Not all teams have that. You also ideally need, realistically, at least one centre-back that is pretty decent at defending wide, so when your wing-back's a little bit higher, they can play in these areas. You probably need one midfielder who can control the tempo, and then you need that dynamic front 3. And then finally, the other negative, and this is more of a personal thing for me, is the fact that with wing-backs flying forward to provide the width, it's not always ideal against low blocks, teams that get a lot of players behind the ball. Personally, I feel in 1 versus 1 situations out wide, you are usually better off with a winger because they are naturally better dribblers. They're players that want to take people on. You don't always get that from a fullback, but that's just kind of a small note. That's more of a personal thing. The next question now, having seen the positives and negatives, and I feel there are more positives, now it's about figuring out, does it work for United? Do United actually have the personnel to make this shape work? Because the 3-4-2-1 or the 5-2-3, whatever you want to call it, is an incredibly effective formation, and when used right, is a real positive shape in the modern day. So do United have the players for it? Let's go through it position by position. If we start off in goal, it's fairly simple. It's Andre Onana. No matter the shape, he is the one that plays in goal. Nice and easy. The back three, we straight away have a few question marks, particularly when you consider United's current injury problems. If you look at the players we think are available at the moment, you've got the likes of Lisandro Martinez, you've got De Ligt, you've got Lindelof. Could those three play in a back three with each other? I actually think they could. Lindelof on the right hand side doing some channel defending, which we know he can do. He's played right back before. De Ligt in the middle, where you get a big powerful presence, and then Lisandro Martinez on the left side of the defence. It's not ideal for Lisandro Martinez because it does mean he has to do a lot of wide defending, but he's actually kind of naturally been doing that for United anyway, so I think it works. As we move into midfield, I actually think it suits us. Kobbie Mainoo and Ugarte are a nice double pivot, and with the support of three players behind them, it should ease some of the defensive work, some of the defensive burden, if you like, on these players. And I also think it makes it more viable to play someone like Casemiro in midfield, or Christian Eriksen as well. Again, having those extra defenders behind them gives them a bit of cover, a bit of support for when they can't do the work themselves. So for me, it works there. How about at wing back? Question marks again. On the right hand side, I think we have two who can absolutely do it. Dalot and Mazraoui. I think they are great technical players, excellent at getting forward, overlapping, underlapping into the final third. I think they're ideal for the role, if not perhaps lacking a bit of creativity with the end product. The question mark is more on the left, as has been the case for a long time now with the Manchester United defence. Who do you play on the left side? Ideally, you play Luke Shaw, but he is currently injured, and there is also an argument that he would be more suited to the left centre-back position once he has returned. So who do you play on the left side? Harry Amas, perhaps too young and not trusted at the moment. Tyrell Malacia, nowhere to be seen. How about Antony? Left-footed player on the left is what I feel you need in this system. I think it's almost essential. Antony is one of the few left-footed players in our side, and we saw a couple of left-back cameos last season which didn't look too bad. So perhaps it could work for United, providing that overlapping threat down that side of the pitch. And we know he's going to work hard. He is a hard-working player, a dedicated player. He gets up and down the pitch, does the defensive work. Perhaps it could work. And I also think it works with the front three as well. I think it's fairly obvious. In terms of that inside forward position from the left, is perfect for Marcus Rashford. Someone flying around him on the outside, he can move inside with the ball. It's absolutely perfect. And it also suits Garnacho as well. It gives him the ability to go both ways. In terms of the right side of the front three, this is probably where you try and squeeze Bruno Fernandes into the team. See if he can be effective from that side. If it doesn't work, you've also got Mason Mount, who played a very similar role for Chelsea back in the day, but also Amad Diallo. Again, coming inside with someone overlapping him could be ideal for him. And in terms of the striker position, it picks itself. It's Xerxes or Højlund, they are strikers. This would suit them because they've got more players close together around them. So now we've got United into this shape, what are the pros and cons for this particular side? The cons straight away is the outside centre-backs. Lisandro Martinez I don't think is great as a wide defender. I certainly don't think he's elite. And Lindelof on the other side is a capable defender, but again, not an elite level defender. Although when Leny Yoro returns from injury, that could be the perfect role for him. I would like him there. On the right hand side, we have a problem with the wing back. I think Dalot would be good here, but does he really give you enough driving threat in the final third? Particularly with Bruno Fernandes ahead of him. There's not a ton of dribbling ability down this side of the pitch, 1-versus-1 ability, which would be a slight concern. On the left, I actually really like it. I think it suits Kobbie Mainoo brilliantly, and actually you could swap him and Ugarte as well, and it still works. That could be quite a nice balance. I think for Marcus Rashford, it's perfect. He can go wide, he can underlap. It's perfect, and I think Garnacho would benefit from this as well. Antony at left wing back is certainly an experiment. Would it work? Can Antony play this role on a regular basis? I'm not too sure, although having said that, this isn't a new problem. We've had problems on the left side of our defence anyway, so this isn't something that's new. We know we have a squad issue here and that we need signings, but for kind of like a stopgap situation, it's perhaps not too bad because again, we have that extra defensive presence back here. We have Lindelof as opposed to someone like Eriksen in midfield, so physically we have upped our levels, but it's still not perfect. Do I think the shape works for United? I know a lot of people want it. Yes and no. I think it's close to being able to work. I think a few signings, a wide centre-back and perhaps a wing-back, and I think it could actually work quite nicely for United. I think the rest of the pitch, we have the nice profiles for it, nice roles in the team. Right now, I wouldn't mind seeing Ten Hag experimenting with it. I don't think the squad is perfect for it at this moment in time, but what we've been doing so far doesn't seem to have been perfect either. So I actually wouldn't mind seeing us experiment with it. I've seen some people sort of rule it out, say the back five isn't possible with this squad, and I don't think that's true. It's not perfect, it's not ideal, but nothing is for United at the moment. This is an experiment, a chance to try something different, and you might just stumble upon some success. So I would actually quite like to see Erik ten Hag try it at some point. But that's just my opinion, those are just my thoughts. I want to hear yours in the comments down below because it's an interesting topic. Does it work with United? Do we have the right squad for it? Should we make that change? Let me know what you think. Apart from that, we are finished for today. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.